Well, so far, pretty much thrills and spills here in Indonesia. You can see Indonesia and Australia both winning in Group A. They're at the top of the standings. Jordan and Saudi Arabia both at 0-1. Later today, this afternoon, we'll see Indonesia taking on Jordan. So Saudi Arabia falling victim to the host in their first game, and now they face a very difficult task of trying to compete, upset the defending champions of the FIBA Asia Cup, Australia, and a team that probably comes into this tournament as the favorites. I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Mark Mills. And Mark, you know what? You can say what you want to, but the game has to be won on the court. And Saudi Arabia, I guess, if they come out focused and determined, they'll give themselves a chance to take this thing late to the game and give themselves a chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, they'll take plenty of lessons from that first game. Obviously, emotional playing the hosts here in front of what you could definitely class as a raucous crowd. It'll be a different encounter today for them against Australia. But realistically, for Saudi Arabia, the focus has to be their offense. They were the second lowest scoring team on game day 1 in the Asia Cup. That can't continue if they want to progress. So I think offense, you know, is their focus and should be what they've been going through during their rest day.
The game, I think that perhaps many people would have said they cannot lose would be against Indonesia. But they are fortunate in a way that they also have a game against Jordan. Maybe that's the team, but you know what? They need to come out and play well today and get some confidence against Australia. Well, we are going to have a pause in the commentary for the playing of the national anthems.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Australia.
Well, it's great to see these teams going through their warm-ups before the game, and just how organized, particularly this Australia team is in their warm-ups, and you can understand why they've been so successful. They've got a real plan. They get to it. Mike Kelly, what a great story he is, coming from America to go play professionally in Australia. Brendan Joyce giving him his chance in coaching after playing for him. And he's on that journey, and this is his first real big experience with the national team. He's coached in the World Cup qualifiers as an assistant, and here he is, the head coach. And judging from their performance of the day, everything is going well. But as the tournament goes on, the challenges will become even greater. So, Mark, what can we look out for today for this Australia team?
Well, Australia, you know, came into the tournament's favourites. They didn't disappoint on day 1, and it was all about team and efficiency, realistically. you know, the way they were putting their offense together, high percentage opportunities, spreading the ball, their rotation that Coach Kelly used worked really, really well. But it did build off defense as well. They had 5 blocks on game day 1, 3rd highest in Asia Cup. They were 100% from the free throw line. So many positives to take, but like you say, there are bigger challenges to come, and that's what they'll be building towards as these games progress.
And for Saudi Arabia, you know, you've already touched on it. They got to leave their experience the other day in the past. I mean, mentally, I think they beat themselves against Indonesia.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the crowd truly were the 6th man for Indonesia on that day, and it clearly got to Saudi Arabia. You know, shooting 29% from the field is not going to get you a win at this level of basketball. It's just not going to happen. They need to make sure when they get opportunities against a team that's the quality of Australia that they make them count. They can't afford to squander those opportunities like they did against Indonesia.
Mohamed Dost, Jung Yu, and also Kyung in the the referees for today's game. And Saudi Arabia starting with Mo Al-Marwani, the captain, Mathna Al-Marwani, his cousin, Fahad Belal, Ayub Al-Hassawi, and Musab Kadi, who was all energy, Al-Muwalad Al-Sager, Abdel Gabar. Surprised he didn't play the other day. Abu Jalas, Shabaile all coming off the bench for Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed El-Kardani, the head coach. And, you know, you talk about keeping your team focused and getting them ready. You know, that's a part of that is the coach's job. So El-Kardani would probably be the first to put his hand up and say, maybe I've got to do better. Thon Maker, William McDowell White, Maka, Mitch McCarron, the Big Smooth, Samson Froling, and Clinton Steindl in the starting 5. Alex Dukas, Tyrese Proctor, Wani Swaka, David Aquera, Keanu Pender, Reese Vague, the Big Vanilla, coming off the bench today. Actually, it's the Vanilla Gorilla.
The Vanilla Gorilla, that is a great nickname.
I don't know why I called him the Big Vanilla.
Oh, and he's got 2. He's now got 2 nicknames.
Make that guy chase, Mac. We'll see if we get that.
And also Clint Steindl.
You're lifting as this is all happening, okay? Then Mac is out, and we're into that middle of the ball, okay? Tight with that. One thing I do want to see, and you can call this, we'll be calling it from the bench, but looking for some pins later. That could be reversed down. It can also be reversed up.
We don't want to make them have many opportunities. Don't play in the first or in the early offense. If it's not wide open, break, keep the ball alive, play in the last 10 seconds. The box out, transition defense, اللعبه بتاعت الهاند اوفس بتاعتهم، عدي بتوين وبعدين فايت فروم ذا توب. هنبتدي فهد في 1، مسنة في 2، مصعب في 3، ايوب في 4، ومحمد في 5. هنشتغل سنجل هيد. محمد، ايوب، سنجل هيد. خد الشورت رول على طول. فهد، محمد، هنطلع ايوب هتيجي على الشورت رول. هتيجي هنا. مصعب، خليك هنا عندنا على اليمين. وهنا يبقى مسنة. يا واخد شوطك يا ايوب.
It's interesting to hear the contrast between the two huddles. Coach Kelly there, very calm, very detail orientated, but intentionally very calm with his team. And Coach El-Kardani at the other end is talking on a bigger picture. Take your time, don't rush the offense, let the offense come to you. And I think that's really smart. After that poor offensive display in the first game, he knows his team can do better, but mentally they need to be a bit more composed on the offensive end.
All good points, yeah. And again, just as to go over the referees again, Yu Jung from Chinese Taipei, Mohamed Dost from Iran, and Park Hyung Jin from Korea. So Abu Rashed, the commissioner from Jordan. Well, hello everybody, welcome, we're underway. The first game of game day 2 on day 3 at the FIBA Asia Cup. And Australia winning the opening tip against Saudi Arabia, but almost turning it over. Clint Steindl missing. Thon Maker knocks it outside. And here comes Al-Marwani picking up the basketball. Handing it off to Fahad Bilal. It's all about how do you handle that pressure that Australia is going to throw at you. Can you get some rebounds? You know, Mo Al-Marwani didn't really do anything on the boards the other day in terms of grabbing the rebounds. And Steindl missing, the two-time NBL champ.
To be honest, Saudi Arabia as a whole didn't do much on the boards. Lowest number of rebounds from game day one from any team. And that's, you know, that's going to be important against what is a very impressive Australian front court with Thon Maker and Froling starting for them.
Al-Marwani outside to cousin Al-Marwani. It was online, but he was short. Here comes Froling, brings it back outside. Cross court, Thon Maker, count it!
And this is the problem Thon Maker causes you if you're trying to defend against him. He's so versatile. He's improved that outside jump shot game. And clearly has, you know, the quick first step, the athleticism, and also the strength to go into the post as well.
Listen, that was Ayub Al-Hassawi. And Dow White losing control of it.
Yeah, that's good work by Cardi there, just putting pressure and staying in front of your man. Not trying to steal the ball, just put pressure on.
Al-Marwani missing from deep. We know Saudi not afraid to put the ball up from downtown. The big fella, Mo Al-Marwani, the captain, was their best shooter from deep.
He came out with 15 points against Indonesia, and that was kind of the reason being. He was one of the only players that didn't seem taken over by the event itself. He kept his composure.
Bilal pushing it quickly, and Takati just didn't come close to finishing. I mean, great hustle back on D by Australia, but Takati, you know, we saw a lot of energy from him the other day. Did everything well except score.
Yeah, he brought so much to them. He put so much into that game, but you can see that youthful enthusiasm. Sometimes it leads to great things. He had 2 blocks, but sometimes it leads to bigger problems. He had 5 turnovers. So it's just channeling that energy in the right way, but he is a positive impact on this team.
Steindl, the former St. Mary's Gales, short, and no, Al-Marwani gets it back to Fahad Bilal. Bilal running away from Thon Maker, at least trying to. Quick pass. Oh, nice spin move from the big man, Mo Al-Marwani.
And he is going to be key for them throughout this tournament. He's not the classic slow big man.
Miguel White gets swatted. Great effort from Mafna Al-Marwani. The athleticism that we saw the other day, but look at Thon Maker. Look at him go. He's hustling down the floor. And that Australia defense is going to be aggressive. They get after you. Mitch McCarron might have just picked up the first floor burn today. Look at that. The SWAT. Great hustle.
I think Coach Kelly will be happy on the defensive end, how his team has started the game. They've kept up the pressure that they applied in game day one. But offensively, they've been a lot looser. They've not been as efficient or as focused on the offensive end. Not as much structure and direction so far in this game from Australia. You hope they've not entered a little bit too complacent.
So Tyrese Proctor checks into the game. He's got the basketball as well as Reese Vague. There he goes, Vague launching it from deep, and just like on game day one, he comes out firing.
It's almost a perfect copy, right?
Gonna have to ask him about that nickname after the game, that's for sure. Bilal, somebody's got to be open. A lot of Aussies outside, and there's Al-Marwani. hitting a three again. They are not shy about putting it up, tying it up at 5. Thonmaker explodes into the lane and draws the foul.
And it's great to see the kind of evolution of Thonmaker within this national team and how he's grown from that kind of entry level, that young player trying to find his feet, trying to work out what international basketball is all about. And now we're here at the Asia Cup. Realistically, he could be their best player. You know, he could absolutely be a candidate for the tournament MVP at the end of this tournament.
This is the first, and we talked about this the other day, 2017, I think it was, the Asia Cup in Lebanon. No Australian made the All-Star 5 despite the team romping to decisive victory after decisive victory, unbeaten. But they had so many contributors. I wouldn't say anybody stood out. Now a turnover, and the pressure from Australia causing problems. Still got to be able to inbound the basketball.
Yeah, you truly do. But you're absolutely right about Australia. The key to their success in pretty much every tournament they've been to has been that team ethos. You know, it's not about 2 or 3 players having to step up every game. Different players step in and carry the weight across the tournament.
Maka on the attacker, puts it up and in. Here comes Caddy. See if he can finally get it. Yes, he does. He puts it up off the glass and in. Thonmaker give and go. And Reesvig fouled as he goes up for the layup. So Matna, I believe, Al-Marwani. Well, take your pick, really. Okay, they do call it on Al. In fact, they call it on Al-Halsawi. Clink goes out. And Dukas comes in. One of the many Australians to play college basketball at St. Mary's. He'll go back for his final year. And you're talking about a lot of guys. Not only Clint Steindl, Patty Mills, Matthew Dellavedova played at St. Mary's.
I love the way that the coaching staff of Australia deal with the younger players, though. Before the game, Dukas, Proctor, and Aguera come into the floor together and not just training hard. They were having some fun, doing some stupid games on the floor, keeping them nice and relaxed, as well as getting them ready for today's action.
Oh, driving in, that was it, and that's why Abdel Gabbar can, I was surprised he didn't play the other day. He's smooth. That's pass to Maker. And big man Mo Al-Marwani brings it down. So Saudi Arabia hanging around here early against Australia. Dukas.
And they're doing as their coach asked. They're taking their time. Their patience on the offensive end is being shown, and it's paying dividends at the moment.
Fahad Bilal. Vague rebounds and runs over to Maka. Maker out to McCarron. And Reesvig keeping it alive. It's not one of Al-Marwani's strengths, is it? Rebounding the basketball.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's his focus. I think his focus is pretty much at the upper end of the floor at the moment.
Because he had position there, but he wasn't really boxing out. Abdel Gabbar. Pass tipped. Dukas up to Proctor. And 2 shots for Proctor.
And this is the problem when you turn the ball over against a team like Australia. They just get outrun with such pace. And they run the lanes, the way they run their transition, nice and spread and fluid, and they're staggered, and it's really tough to stop if you're going to give them the ball that easily.
Proctor makes the first. He's headed off to Duke University this year for his first season. Just like Jack White, who played in the last window for Australia, but not here. And McDaniels checked in, Tasmanian Jack Jumper. And good, quick hands. Daniel staying with Abdel Jabbar. Al-Mawani, he's going to launch it. Nope, he's going to go in. He puts up a very difficult shot. Twisting layup. He knew exactly how much time he had. Got off just in the nick of time.
I think Al-Mawani is going to be important offensively for them. Only had 9 points against Indonesia. It has to be in double digits. It has to be 15 to 20 points.
Froling trying to do too much, maybe, turns it over, and Al-Mawani, Matna Al-Mawani races down for the easy layup. That's good defense from Mo Al-Mawani. Wasn't letting Sampson back him down low. It led to a turnover. Oh, Kadi might have got away with a reach. Dukas, a little runner. And Matna Al-Mawani again has the basketball, and Saudi Arabia leading 13-10.
Australia at the moment only shooting 24%, well 23% from the field. A stark contrast from where they were in game day one, and that will be a concern for Coach Kelly.
Fahad Bilal, high off the glass and in. And Australia gonna call a timeout. Well, 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 what do we have here? A 5-point lead for Saudi Arabia over the Boomers. Not sure anybody saw this coming.
So when we're playing Spain pick and roll, you still have to yellow it, you still have to red it. So they beat us in transition on layups, an open three where we stopped short, and Spain, they've got downhill 3 times because we haven't run our pick and roll coverage, which was reds to start, yellows on that one. We do the job at the head of the snake, and the possession's done. Then we're just playing man to man. Right now we're in greens. We're getting great.
The latest bucket that led to the timeout. This was the turnover. Froling and Mohamed Al-Mawani wasn't like he was moving around. He was just standing there like a big wall. And Froling was trying to kind of move it forward, and it wasn't moving.
I love listening into coaches' timeouts. Just listening to Australia, it's like he's talking in a different language completely. Just take the head of the snake. We're playing red and then yellow off this, and just so calm though as well. And it's interesting when we see across this Asia Cup the different coaching styles. Comparing Coach Kelly to someone like Coach Juarez yesterday, they're just polar opposites, but not that one is better than the other. It's just different situations and different style of coaching.
And Taipans forward Keanu Pinder in the game, and Steindl might have just rolled his ankle. So that's not good. Guessing somebody's gonna have to come in for him. Here it is again, watch his feet. Oh, yeah, he stepped on the foot of Bilal.
It didn't fully flip, so hopefully it's not too bad. It's just one of those kind of warning ones from your body where it gives you a bit of pain, but not too much. They've already, I think they're looking to make the change. McCarron to come back in for him, but yeah, he's going to wander off the baseline and walk back to the bench.
Yeah, that stinks. I'm no doubt every basketball player has done that. And
as soon as you see it, and when you see the replay, just the shudder and the cringe that any basketball player feels when you see that. You know the pain that he's gone through on that one.
Karen, this is both free throws with Pinder with the rebound. Keanu Pinder hands it back off to Maka, and Maka hits the 3. After missing the 2 free throws.
Yeah, and you saw kind of the ironic shrug for him as he walks back as well. Just how can I hit the 3 contested and miss 2 free throws when there's set shots?
Abdelkabar counted. You better believe it, that guy can play.
And this feels like a different Saudi Arabia today, and it shows how much impact maybe the crowd had.
Oh boy, what a sweet little jump hook from Keanu Pinder.
Not a bad way to get your first points in the tournament, is it?
Abdelkabar bringing a little bit of offensive impetus to the team, but that one didn't work out as well. Long pass up to McDaniel, feet set, and Samson Froling couldn't bring it down. Mafna Al-Mawani's got those quick hands. Takes it away. Caddy hands it off to the good jump shooter, Mo Al-Marwani, but he's short on his jumpers today. Daniel kind of drifts in. Again, another rebound, and alertly, but maybe
overly
too
alert.
soon.
There was still 5.5 seconds when he launched the Hail Mary.
Al-Mawani throws it out of bounds. So Australia actually have enough time here to get a shot, and especially if nobody comes into the backcourt to defend the long pass. This pass is going to Froling, yep. He didn't get it off in time. So, Saudi Arabia giving as good as they're getting, and they lead it 18-15 over Australia at the end of one.
Well, that wasn't the first quarter we were expecting. I think that's clear to say. As you look at the shooting percentages, Australia's percentage is heavily down, only 3 from 11 from 2-point. And Saudi Arabia, if they could have planned a first quarter, I don't even think their wildest dreams they would have wanted that. You know, they could have imagined having a 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter against Australia. Just to make you aware, though, we're seeing Steindl limping back to the locker room, which is not a good sight for Australia. No, not a good sight for any basketball player or team. But Australia had a tougher first quarter. Maybe came in slightly complacent after such an impressive game day one. They're only shooting 29% from the field, while Saudi Arabia shooting 47%. Mafna Al-Mawani leading them with 7 points and 4 rebounds. And maybe it does show that that atmosphere on game day one against Indonesia really got into their heads, really had an impact on them. And now it's in a slightly calmer arena. They're able to play a little bit closer to their potential, and yeah, there'll be some worried faces at the moment in that Australian huddle, but maybe not too worried. 1 quarter down, they know how much more they have to give, how many more gears they have to go through.
Yeah, but in terms of a shooting performance, when at least the way Australia shot the ball in the first half against Jordan, I mean, they were lights out. I mean, they were 8 of 18, you know, the first half, not just the first quarter. So we've only played 1 quarter, but they're 8 of 18 from 3-point range. They shot 57.1% inside the arc, so they shot 51.3% overall, making 20 to 39 shots. So we haven't seen that so far from the Boomers.
And that's the thing, you know, Saudi Arabia know they sit with a 3-point lead, which is great at the end of the first quarter. But they know that Australia are going to find some momentum. They're going to find their, you know, a bit of form, a bit of consistency, and it's how Saudi Arabia ride that.
The second quarter action underway here in Jakarta. FIBA Asia Cup. Game day 2 on day number 3. Fahad Bilal makes it rain. Speaking of which, we had a pretty big downpour yesterday, didn't we?
Just a bit, yeah.
Thonmaker back in the game, gets it to McDaniel. He's met by Al-Mawani. Thonmaker behind the arc, tough shot for him. Froling tied up by Al-Mawani.
Shouldn't have brought it down. Big guy shouldn't have brought it down. He brought it down to his knees, and straight away brings the rest of the Saudi Arabian defense into the game. Keep it high, go straight back up strong.
I'm interested to see how Tamer Mahmoud Al-Mohammed plays. Number 35, who's checked into the game for Saudi Arabia. He was quite physical against Indonesia. Here's Maka pulling inside the elbow.
Mitch McCarron is exactly what Australia need. He's that type of player that in these moments when things aren't quite going their way, just get the ball into his hands. He can create for himself if you can't create for him. And the level of experience that he brings certainly helps Australia ride over some of these bumps.
Mafna Al-Mawani claiming the shot was deflected. Different look today from Saudi Arabia for sure. Froling and Thonmaker following, and look at them compete for the rebounds, those Saudi Arabians. They might give away one offensive rebound, but that's one thing that they do. They send bodies to the boards. Even though they didn't get that many the other day, curiously. But they're doing quite well today, 11 rebounds overall.
Yeah, you have to bear in mind they were playing against Marquez Bolden the other day, when he pretty much scooped up every rebound that was going.
Makati missing with the air ball, and it starts a break for Australia! The big smooth! Over and in and out. Froling runs the court well for a big fella. Oh, double dribble, wasn't it? I guess he dropped it and they said it wasn't a dribble. Yeah. And ball goes out. Stay at this end with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Alex Duca's coming into the game.
And you're absolutely right. It's just kind of run with me when you're talking about Froling, you know, being very agile and moving, as we see a replay of him pretty much almost going coast to coast and throwing it down unchallenged.
Look at this fake pass.
Open the lane up lovely, right? But it seems to be a very different look, this roster for Australia, when you don't have, you know, obviously with Bogut now and Aaron Baines not here and that kind of big, they are more mobile. They are more able to get up and down the floor and play a much higher pace or tempo than they would, even with someone like Lansdale. You know, they're able now maybe a little bit more athletic, a little bit more high tempo game than we've traditionally seen from Australia.
I guess it also depends who you're playing against. Here's Maka over to Froling, and he's doing it all right now. Sam Froling. Fahad Bilal couldn't get that one to drop, and Australia, who's come back to lead, have it. Lucas doesn't mess around. He's a good shooter. Does not drop it in on the break.
It tells you a lot when a 21-year-old's willing to pull up at the three-point line in transition and put the shot up that early. The confidence that clearly his team have instilled in him, and the freedom that they've instilled in him just to kind of go play your game.
Mid 14.
And Saudi Arabia are absolutely listening to Coach El Kadani there about running the shot clock down. Don't take early shots. Be patient. It's working out for them so far.
Well, they better get this one up. And now the turnover. And again, Australia, McDowell White on the break. Long rebound to Thon Maker. Gets it over to McCarron, who's got his range. And another three-pointer for him.
And Saudi Arabia can't give up on the defensive end. Not one player even tried to chase out McCarron then, and that's just not at this level. That's not going to fly. You're going to come away and give up a lot of points. You have to put so much on the floor to come away with a win here.
McCarron now 2 for 3 from downtown. So the foul called on number 35, Tamer Mahmoud Mohammed. So he's going to go out, and Al-Marwani is going to come back in. Also, for the first time, Ali Shabali is going to check into the game. Well, they had a great start, but right now it's going horribly wrong for Saudi Arabia.
And it's pretty much on the offensive end. Their offense is completely dried up. And defensively, they're starting to lose that energy that they started the game with. Look at the separation. It's just not close enough. Al-Marwani has to be in McCarron's face. He has to chase over screens hard. He has to fight his way to chase him off the perimeter. He can't give him open shots like that.
He's Proctor back in and causing problems for Abdel Jabbar. Al-Marwani gets it to go in. Dukas and did a good job getting the rebound and then tried to make the bounce pass.
See Mitch McCarron there with the veteran leadership, just saying to him, don't worry, it's a good pass, it's the right pass, we're trying to be dynamic.
And again, Abdel Jabbar, and no rush. Now cross court to Al-Marwani. And great effort by Abdel Jabbar to stay with it. Still can't get the points. McCarron up the floor. His pass intended for Faye. Dukas got it. And Al-Marwani, look at him hustle and get after the basketball.
I think Froling may have got away with one a little bit there on that chase down. I don't think he didn't make contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got away with one. If that had been called, it would have been unsportsmanlike, I think, as well at that stage.
I think it was just a little...
Helped him on his way.
Kind of a nudge. It wasn't too much.
I think if it had been
Probably
full hands or
50-50,
arms,
yeah. Pender back in. Reese Vague.
And no urgency at all from Saudi Arabia. Even when there's the option of a transition like then, they would have had advantage. They would have had numbers.
Abu Jalas playing big minutes, number 15. Now over to Shabali. Mafna, Al-Marwani looking for space. He's going to have to put it up. He does. Yeah, just not getting anything good look. Everything contested right now. I think maybe part of the problem is they are waiting too long to get into their offense.
Yeah, I think they're over-exaggerating the instruction from coach. What he's saying is don't rush to try and find an opportunity. Let the shot clock evolve, let our offense evolve, and when there's an option that's wide open, we take that shot. Whereas at the moment, they're kind of reading it as well. Let's just run the clock down to 5-6 seconds, then try and run the first phase of our offense, and what we get given at that point, we'll take. I think it will mean we'll have a low-scoring game. Australia will have less possessions. So Saudi Arabia will lose by less, but I think this strategy will lead to a Saudi Arabia loss.
What's worrying is that Australia getting a lot of their points off turnovers, and there he is, folks. Proctor showing that long-range ability. If he can hit that shot consistently, he is going to be a tough customer. Shot clock down to 8. Same issue for Saudi Arabia. Now they get into the offense. Abu Jalas. And will it work that time?
You just feel like Australia are warming up now, though. They're starting to get a bit more flow, a bit more confidence.
Al-Mawani getting away with a shirt tug. Blatant. Keanu Pinder for 3 points. Jabbar shot clock winding down, puts it up. Proctor rebounds. Here's Proctor with a spin and scores, and that's 2 in a row for Tyrese Proctor. Starting to see his talent bloom here. And now Australia really threatening to turn it on here. So Saudi Arabia going to talk about it. Just a minute 45 remaining, but that's plenty of time for Australia to open up a double-digit lead. Get the Courtside 1891 app, scan that into your smartphone.
هنلعب دلوقتي اسمع هنلعب سوينج ثالث سوينج ناصر محمد ايمن وعلي علي ما تسرحش الماتش اللي فات غلطت في السوينج خالد هتباص باس كت باس علي سكرين هنموف خالد when you come to receive the handoff من محمد the 2 guards will go if no one is open keep the ball with you محمد again repeat مع خالد السوينج بعد ما تنزل والناس طلعت يمين وشمال وما اداش لحد اطلع لخالد سكرين.
So Tyrese Proctor, the youngest player in this game at 18 years of age, is looking like the player with the most savvy at the moment.
You only have 4 points in the first game, up to 7 already. And like you say, brimming with confidence by the looks of it. No wonder Duke went after him. They obviously see something in him, and from his performance so far in this game, you can see what they've seen.
Yeah, I think probably quite a few people went after him. Here goes Shabali losing control, goes out of bounds off the Boomers.
Be interesting to see how Saudi Arabia change in this final minute and 40 seconds. Because they are going to have to change the way they've approached the game. It worked for the first quarter, it's certainly not worked in the second quarter. They've only scored 7 points.
Oh boy, turnover leads to another basket for Australia. Good finish from Dukas. And that's been a real problem in this first half. Lead is 10 points, 15 points off turnovers for Australia.
Yeah, and Australia had 10 steals in game 1. They're going to do the same again here. It's their brand of basketball. They want to get out, they want to harass on the ball. The on-ball defense is really tight.
Another turnover. Here's McDowell White, like a bullet out of a gun. And oh, can you believe it? What a play by Keanu Pinder.
Absolutely huge. Lob pass, perfectly floated. He stays with it, even though a huge amount of contact from Al-Mawani. Oh, my goodness.
It's a dangerous play by Al-Mawani. I mean, after what we saw last night, and full credit to Pinder for not reacting, because, I mean, you know, you're being nudged backward, you're already up in the air.
I think if Al-Mawani had been a shorter player, that would have been a problem, because his contact would have been at a lower center of gravity for Pinder and potentially would have flipped him.
Well, that's the play of the game. Let's go down to the bench and listen. The frustration now, pretty obvious for Saudi Arabia.
لعبنا 18 دقيقة كويس، ما تبوظوش كل حاجة في دقيقة ونص. الفرق الكبيرة اللي زي كده هتغلط معاها دقيقتين هتلاقي السكور راح ل 30. دقيقتين بس تلوز الفوكس هتلاقي كل تعبك راح. احنا ماشيين كويس، عايزين نخش اللوكر روم واحنا سنجل ديجيت. بوكس اوت لو سمحت. البريس بريك لو سمحت الناس واقفه صح. فهد دلوقتي بدل علي، فهد وخالد في الاوفنس. باك هيد يا فهد مع خالد. جو.
It's always interesting when you see a coach call 2 timeouts in quick succession. Clearly not happy that his team have even taken any notice of that first timeout, not executed the way he's wanted to. And yeah, having to call a quick timeout like that, and no real surprise either. In fact, I think the foul was before the make. Otherwise, why were they getting out of bounds unless they're saying it was after?
Just double checking, that's crazy. Oh boy, Pender has just come to play today. Look at that. Spin move. If they didn't count that, that's a tragedy. Yeah, they did count the basket.
They're saying maybe the foul was after.
The foul was on Shabali. Weird. That's a weird situation there. Anyway, here goes Pender getting it up, and look at that! Seeing that element of the game of Proctor.
And he's bringing it all today, showing real athleticism, and Australia have blown this game out now in the second quarter, outscoring Saudi Arabia 26-7. And Saudi Arabia's offensive strategy of slowing the game down has really hurt them in the second quarter.
Amu Walad. Well, they've scored more than half of their points off turnovers, Australia. No surprise there, I guess, but it's you can't help but think it's an opportunity lost for Saudi Arabia. They had the perfect start. They led at the end of the first quarter, but now Australia on top at halftime, 39-25. Just 7 points scored by Saudi Arabia against Australia in that second quarter. And it's great to see Pender get some action and make his minutes count, as well as Proctor. Those two kind of leading the charge at the end of the half as Australia take command. 6 threes for Australia.
Yeah, there's certainly, you know, the issue is twofold for Saudi Arabia. Offensively, Australia, I think, worked out their offensive strategy after that first quarter and basically realized they just needed to increase the pressure on the ball. And that showed with the steals that they were getting, as we see McCarron leading all scorers with 10 and Al-Mawani with 7 for Saudi Arabia. And that was the key for him, for Australia, putting pressure on the ball, forcing the turnovers, really caused Saudi Arabia's offensive strategy to fall apart. And then on the defensive end for Saudi Arabia, they're just not closing out. There's too much separation. Prime example there for Thonmaker's 3. It's a slow closeout. It's a lackadaisical closeout. They need to be much tighter and much more energy put into that defensive end.
Well, we saw Reece Vegg shoot it well yesterday. He had that three-pointer. But the depth of Australia is what you have to be impressed by. Of course, Steindl went out with the injury. The ankle, it looks like an ankle injury. But Keanu Pender, who only played, in fact, he didn't even play.
No minutes in game 1.
In the opening game, he's one of the 2 most dynamic players in this game today against Saudi Arabia. And you kind of wonder also if he's a good fit against this Saudi Arabia team, his athleticism, because boy, that was on full display. Look at that.
He just showed a range in his game. He absolutely showed a range in his game, setting out, you know, stepping out, hitting the 3, being able to be quite cultured, driving to the basket with soft touches, and then out in transition, just finishing with that aggressive throwdown, as you see Froling. And this is what I'm talking about from Saudi Arabia's defense. Who's stepping into the middle of the lane? Who's challenging him? Who's putting any body on him at all? No one. And Australia are just going to make you pay, and they did in that second quarter. I think it was first quarter, a bit of a wake-up call for Australia, and they just pushed on. But you're right, Pinder and Proctor looking phenomenal. Proctor 9 points, Pinder 7 points, both of them playing less than 10 minutes. And it's good to see. Again, Australia, you see the depth in their roster. You absolutely do. You know, in game 1, it was Thonmaker. In this game, it's now Proctor. It's great to see him. For Australian fans that are watching, they'll absolutely be delighted to see some of the young stars on show as well, the next generation of boomers stepping up.
Also another solid display by Mitch McCarron.
You almost ignore that because you kind of expect it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I'm not looking at his box score line because he should be putting those up, and he always will.
Look at that play. I mean, that's got to be the play of the game right there. That was a phenomenal finish. And then you got Proctor throwing it down on the break. And Australia suddenly turning on all cylinders. So Mitch McCarron leading the team in scoring with 10 points, 9 for Tyrese Proctor, and overall solid second quarter for Australia.
Who will you become when the moment arrives and you're carrying the expectations of an entire nation, representing your people and their dreams, the colorful faces in the streets, the screaming fans in the stands? It's time to make your move. All eyes on you, all hope, all heart. Because when you win for all.
Chance to run, a rare chance, and here he goes, Nazarian, and no, he gets the score! What an incredible finish from Nazarian. Give credit where it's due, he did not want to charge. So he pauses right at the end. Bounce pass, and Gavrilov flushes it. Here's Timmons driving in and throwing it down. We saw him miss one early. He wasn't going to miss that one, was he? Kawamura, look at it. Another pass to the corner. Got it! Right at the buzzer. Deadeye, Yudai Nishida, another three for him. And again, look at the pass. Oh my goodness! Ready for takeoff or what? El Darwich has got some hops.
That quick first step as well, and he just left Parks completely in his dust as he flew past him.
Oh, good play, India. Hey, they're getting out and running. They look good. They look a lot better than anticipated. Share back to Gavrilov, pump fake, his baseline, he gets blocked right at the rim by Watanabe. Look at this. Not in Jakarta, my friend. Look at Bobby Ray. Bounce pass, oh, that was a slick one. And now another slick bounce pass, and Gilas. Good basket.
That pass from Pombal was absolutely perfect. So difficult to make those passes, not to catch legs, not to just turn the ball over.
Oh, there's the yow! Cedars are showing us something right now, folks.
Ah, it's beautiful. Precision. And the baseline cut as well.
And they get over just in time. Navarro.
It's a Navarro flush. Abando was asking for the alley-oop pass, and Navarro said, nah, I've got this one.
Well, Mathna Al-Marwani added again today, scoring 7 points in the first half, much of that early, and really sparked Saudi Arabia as they jumped out to an 18-15 lead by the end of the first quarter. Al-Marwani is a threat in many respects because he puts pressure on the ball, he reaches in, he's got the quick hands, he causes turnovers. And that was the case where he jumped into, I guess, or capitalized on the loose ball and raced down the floor for the layup. I think if the rest of the team played with his type of awareness and energy, they'd probably be a little bit closer right now. For Australia, well, you said it, no surprise, you don't really have to talk about it, Mitch McCarron, but he only had 5 points yesterday in the whole game. Today he's got 10. And he really got on a roll after he missed a couple of free throws. You could see that really upset him. He came out, hit a 3, and then he hit another 3. And Maka got it going. But the thing about Australia is it's never just one guy that gets it going. It's everybody gets it going. And already having trailed by 3 points at the end of the first quarter, they've, since that point, they've outscored Saudi Arabia by 17 points over the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal second quarter from Australia, and Saudi Arabia did a great job in the first quarter. They came and disrupted, but they didn't seem to have a plan B. Once Australia had worked out what Saudi Arabia were doing and how to counter that, there was no plan B from Saudi Arabia, and that's what enabled Australia really just to put them to the sword in the second quarter, 24-7. And opening up a 14-point lead at this stage. I don't think Saudi Arabia would have imagined the second quarter have gone that way, but it's down to Saudi Arabia now to change things. They need to have a different offensive strategy. They can't just run the clock down and hope for a last-second jumper to go, because it didn't happen in the second quarter for them. Whereas for Australia, again, you know, it's good that they had a test in the first quarter. Didn't have much of a test at times in game day 1. And again, you see different players stepping up. We're seeing the depth and the breadth of this roster and how they don't have to focus in on one player. I think, you know, you mentioned McCarron not scoring too many yesterday. The game day 1. I don't think he felt like he had to. Today, Australia were in a little bit of a slump, and he took them on his shoulders a little bit and said, okay, guys, I see we're not firing on all cylinders offensively. I'll step in, I'll score some points, I'll take a bit more responsibility for our scoring. But interested to see what Coach Al-Qadani does. He looked a little bit dejected as the team were heading to the locker room, but I'm sure he's come up with a master plan, hopefully, to make his team a bit more competitive in the third quarter.
Well, the thing about the competition itself, they need a top 3 finish if they're going to advance to the qualification to the quarterfinals, and they will still have a game left against Jordan, but they can't count on the fact that Indonesia are going to do them a favor to make that a do-or-die game to advance to the qualification. If Indonesia were to win that game, they would improve to 2-1, and it, you know, set up a battle for first place against Australia, and then that would be a do-or-die battle for Jordan and between Jordan and Saudi Arabia on game day 3.
Yeah, if Jordan beat Indonesia, though, and then say Saudi Arabia lose today and they go and beat Jordan, they're going to come to that 3-way head-to-head. Exactly. And the 26-point loss to Indonesia is absolutely going to come back and haunt them with a vengeance. It makes it very, very difficult for Saudi Arabia. But the way they played in the second quarter, you feel it is going to come down to that last game and them having to put in an absolutely huge performance against Jordan.
And that's something they'll regret, losing. Mike Kelly had to navigate the difficulties in the first quarter, did that well, and his Boomers have turned things around in the second quarter. I think that's probably, again, it's just that opening day defeat to Indonesia was a disaster in so many respects for Saudi Arabia, because no matter what anybody says, even with the addition of Marquez Bolden, you know, Indonesia would come into this, I think, as the favorites not to advance.
Horn shuffle, okay? Again, for
or
us,
the big underdogs.
we're playing
Yeah,
against
absolutely,
ourselves,
but
really.
the prize
Right,
that's
start
dangling at the
everything we
end
do,
of the
we try to
string
do
for
at our
Indonesia
level, okay?
is a
Board
spot
shuffle,
at the World Cup next year
make
for
that
them.
guard
So
chase him
they didn't
without-
already have
without sending
motivation
an
playing an
illegal
Asia
skate,
Cup on their
just
home
come up a
soil.
little bit more
The
inside
motivation
lane,
to go to the World
as
Cup next
opposed to
year and
coming up the
represent,
lane
you know,
or trying to
and I
slide
imagine
through.
after they experience the atmosphere
Mac might
here
turn the corner
on
to
game day
start,
one,
otherwise-
that provides even more motivation, because imagine what it's going to be like in the World Cup if they can make it through.
Touch speak water. Khalid, immediately go here for the trap against Fah. Must find here. Touch speak and go immediately. So when there is a trap for Fah, you find an open here space. If nothing happens, Muhammad will repeat for you. محمد اطلع بسرعة. لما تطلع لخالد اطلع له ريبيك. سنجل هيد.
كنت بس دقيقة محمد لما تسوي السكرين من هنا محمد هتسوي من اليمين.
من يمين وين؟
اطلع هنا طل علي. لا تفتكر.
يعني بص يا محمد.
المشكلة انه في باك هيد. ما لك في باك هيد. اسمع حزب وطن تسوي تراب.
بص يا محمد.
ما حزب.
انت اهو.
سوي فلاش على النص.
وادي فهد. بص يا
So Jakarta, Indonesia, the FIBA Asia Cup 2022, the defending champions Australia squaring off against Saudi Arabia. There you get the information. Go to that FIBA.basketball website and you can get to the FIBA Asia Cup and get all the latest news, information, schedules, results, scores.
Interesting to see Steindl gingerly walk his way back to the bench, but he's in his shooting shirt. We're certainly, I don't think, going to see him again today.
Second half underway, Saudi Arabia with possession, and really they need to come out strong in this opening part of the second half to give themselves a chance, because you know how Australia are going to be. They're going to be like white on rice. They are going to get after them on defense, and they're going to try to blow them out. Abdel-Jabbar. Here he comes, Don Maker. Goes up against Al-Mawani. They're going to count it.
Yeah, Thonmaker only played 11 minutes in that first half. But this is exactly what he can do. He's such a difficult matchup. He really is, particularly now with the range he has with his jumper. You have to commit to him, and if you overcommit, that first step as he stretches past you makes it tough to stop him from getting to the bucket.
Free throw shooting, one thing Australia have not done well today, but he made that one. Abdel-Jabbar trapped, and McDowell White ties him up. Well, you go into that zone right there, you better be ready to either split that defense on the dribble or pass it, because you are hemmed in by the midcourt and the sideline and two players.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's called Coffin Corner.
Well, it's called Coffin Corner because that's where people would go to cough, clear their throat. Look at Froling get in there, skying, laying it up and in.
Are you suggesting that's another COVID protocol? If you're going to cough, you have to go to this corner of the floor.
Abdel-Jabbar this time. Oh, double dribble.
Saudi Arabia struggling again, and Australia, you're exactly right. They've come out and blood's in the water, and they know that they can kill this game off. Probably within this third quarter, if they have another quarter like they did in the second. Just that extra bit of energy in this third quarter could see them open up this lead. So Saudi Arabia can't come back.
Sam Froling spinning, putting it up. And we heard Sam Froling talking in the post game after game one, and he was saying, hey, listen, we got the gold vibe. This is what we want. We want to get to the top of the podium. That's what our expectation is. And if we don't, it's not mission accomplished.
Find me an Australian team in any sport that doesn't approach the game in that way. It's just a national mindset for Australia. No matter what they're competing in, their expectation is that they should be at the top. They should be the best.
Well, 19 points, the difference between Australia and Saudi Arabia. I actually picked them. I thought they would win the World Cup in 2019. And they might have had, you know, they beaten Spain.
Yeah, I covered them in
the double overtime loss.
In some of those games, and they looked good. It was just before they were starting to use deeper rotations, and that's what killed them. But it was a long tournament. The World Cup was a long tournament, a fair bit of traveling for the players as well. So once they got to the business end of the tournament, I think fatigue really hit in. You know, we clearly saw it with Patty Mills, but I think it was across the board. The players were just feeling tired at the point where they probably needed to put most energy on the floor. The teams they were going against were running longer rotations than them.
McCarron drifts in. Von Maker almost stealing that rebound. So Saudi down by 17. Kadi pass. Abdul Jabbar back outside. Al-Mawani. Good job, Kadi knocking it back out. An effective way to not have to contest the rebound with the opponent. Kadi, good pass on the baseline to Al-Mawani and the big fella. Much better from Saudi Arabia, but they got to get back on defense. Good almost catch by Dukas, but Abdul Jabbar snuck in there and took it away.
And this is important for Saudi Arabia. They need to make sure that that energy level is high, particularly on the transition. They can't give up fast break points to Australia. They're going to have to make Australia work for every point now.
Mawani, Saudi Arabia trying to shoot their way back into it from long range. Look at Sam Froling handle the basketball. They're so comfortable with it.
And that's the confidence. You saw the confidence his teammates had in him. Not one member of the backcourt went to take the ball off him or even asked them for the ball. They just advanced on the transition.
Von Maker, just like making a layup for him, hitting the three-pointer. Got 9 points. His first tray. I thought he'd already hit one, actually. Froling with the rebound, looks up the floor. Oh, what's his first three? Here he is down low, the jump hook.
Oh, what a pass.
Dukas missing from deep. Saudi Arabia got to, instead of just going for the basketball, they got to start boxing out. Because they often outnumber the Australians under the glass, but they're not pulling down rebounds.
This is the problem they had against Indonesia as well. They just don't box out. They try and get in a jumping competition or try and wait for the rebound to become looser, but they've got to box out.
Well, we're going to see wholesale substitutions for the Boomers at the next dead ball. Maker, another three. There he's got multiple threes for the second game in a row.
You could see straight away what Von Maker was doing with that jab step. He just kept jabbing far enough to push the defender away from him. There was no intention ever to drive to the basket for Von Maker then.
Kadi explodes. A little bit out of control, and Al-Mawani has got a cramp. Here comes Maker, and gets it to drop. They're going to stop play for Mohammed Al-Mawani to kind of stretch out and get rid of this cramp.
He's only been on the floor 20 minutes. Not a good sign. Often a lack of hydration if you're cramping after only 20 minutes on the floor.
So he is going to limp off the court. Hopefully it's just a cramp.
It looks like he doesn't even want to put weight on that ankle, though, to be fair.
He was stretching out his leg like he had a cramp.
It looked like that. That's a big loss, literally and metaphorically, for Saudi Arabia.
So no mercy for Australia as they bring in Reese, Vague, Tyrese Proctor, Sam McDaniel, and Keanu Pinder, who was electrifying in the first half. Abdel-Jabbar bounce pass. Oh, good play. They share it. Nice play.
Yeah, much smarter from Saudi Arabia. That's where the patience pays off. That's where the calmer nature and using the shot clock pays off.
Blake, his shot off target. Maka putting the pressure on Abdel-Jabbar, who gets it across midcourt just in time. Well, just a circus attempt at the layup. Tyrese Proctor out to McDaniel. Pender finds Vague. Boy, they really moved it around well to get the layup, didn't they?
And that was just beautiful. But it's the spacing from Australia in that offensive set that opened the whole court up for them. They perfectly spaced. They positioned themselves perfectly well. And Vague there just holding on that baseline position, knowing that the ball's going to come that way.
Abdel-Jabbar. Australia taking control. Well, they've already got control, just stretching their lead. Vague with the rebound. Into Pinder. Oh, he's no pretender. I suggest he's a big reason why Australia are a contender, Mr. Pinder, as he goes over to the bench. And Saudi Arabia, this game is just getting away from them.
يا شباب don't watch the ball. حجز ان شاء الله الكرة تقع على الارض، بس لو انت هتحاول تجيب الريباوند معاهم واحنا الاثنين هننط هو هيكسب القصة دي. Box him out outside the paint.
لا لا اقرب واحد جاي بوكس اوت جاي من ورا ده من النص. ايه نبيه معاي. Yo, when we get back on defense, just take whoever's close to you.
New Khalid, new. مع new pop out immediately before the trap. فهد تعالى new. ثامر ومصعب أيوب. Try box out. Young. Let's go.
Any thoughts after that timeout?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like, which fire do I put out first? The kitchen's on fire, the living room's on fire. Where do I go first? What do I try and correct? He's got 1 minute to try and extinguish an awful lot of problems that Saudi Arabia are facing at the moment. I feel their offense is slightly better in this second half than it was in that second quarter. I think they've kind of countered what Australia are throwing at them. But defensively, the intensity level is just off. They're creating too much separation. They're not chasing out shooters. And there's a lot on the defensive end that they need to work on now.
Well, Saudi Arabia barely qualified with a 3-3 record. Well, I say barely. I mean, they were 2 games clear of Qatar, but they were 3rd in Group E behind Iran and Syria. And the potential is there for this team, definitely to get better. Probably is a giant leap forward to be able to compete with a team like Australia. That was a good play, good block.
I think the concern I have with regards to Saudi Arabia in the future is there's only 1 player under 25 in this roster. The majority of them are 30 or over. What does the youth, what does the next, generation of Saudi Arabian basketball look like?
Wani Swaki in the game. Tyrese Proctor travels.
And you hope that it's just the powers that be that are selecting the team, are fond or like the players that they've had for a while, rather than them thinking, well, I'm going to have to play guys to the 36, 37 because there's no youth coming through. Hopefully for Saudi Arabian basketball, the next generation are just ready to break through now. And when we come to the next Asia Cup, we're going to see, I imagine, a very different looking roster than we see now.
And three-point shot is good. Good. Good attempt. Abdel Jabbar in Saudi Arabia trying to stop the bleeding. It's not going to be easy. Al-Marwani blocked by Wani Swaki. Bilal, and Fahad Bilal gets a three.
That's great defense by Swaka in the first play. He'd almost been knocked to the floor and still managed to get the block while he was falling down, but Saudi Arabia stayed with the play. They stayed with the offense and got the rewards.
Proctor from deep, goes in and out.
Proctor brings so much, though. Just looking at his handle then, how precise and controlled it was, and his footwork. Obviously missing the shot, but the fundamentals are really, really sound with Proctor.
I know John Shire's excited to get Proctor. There's going to be a lot of competition for minutes at Duke. There's no doubt. That's going to probably make him even better, but I expect him to hold his own there and to get into that rotation. Pass down low, and Abdel Jabbar just has not gotten it going today. Here he is coming up and getting the steal. Spins, passes outside. That was slick over to Fahad Bilal. Another three-pointer for him.
That's great hustle from Abdel Jabbar, not giving up on the play, and a great pass as well. Temptation was there for him to go in amongst the trees and try and fight for the layup, but instead finds his teammate. And yeah, talking about Proctor going to Duke, though, I find it's a good test of character for some young players, because the programs they'll have come from, they're potentially the superstars of that program, you know, be it high school or some kind of academy structure, and then they'll move into freshman year, and they will be the lower levels. They won't be getting the minutes, they won't be getting the headlines or the highlights, and how do they cope with that? As you see Proctor put the buzzer beater up, and how they cope with that is really, really important. You know, does that break them? Do they look to transfer after freshman year because they want minutes, or do they see it as the process?
Well, 3 quarters in the books. Australia lead it 56-40 over Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, another strong quarter for Australia, but Saudi Arabia certainly looked a lot better in that quarter, scoring 15 points compared to the 7 they scored in the second quarter. Particularly on the offensive end, they look good. I still think there's a huge amount for Saudi Arabia to do defensively, and in particular on the glass. They give up a lot of rebounds, being out-rebounded 33-26 right now, and that's hurting them. As we see Al-Marwani putting his hand up after that foul, and Al-Marwani obviously picking up an injury. Looked like severe cramp that he had when he went back to the bench. Not sure whether we'll see him return today, and he's obviously their go-to big man. As you see Thon Maker showing what he's got, sliding down the lane and getting the score off the glass. And Thon Maker is one of those superstar players, leading all scorers with 14 now. Alongside 5 rebounds, 2 assists and a steal. And it's turning into a bit of a repeat of game 1 for Thon Maker, and certainly establishing himself as one of the offensive leaders in this team.
So Australia, scan that in for your Asia Cup information. It's all there. Get it in your barcode. And So the 5 is going to be Dukas, McCarron, McDowell-White, Thonmaker, and Froling.
And the exciting thing for Coach Kelly is you could pick any 5 players out of the 12 that Australia have got and put them on the floor, and it would work.
If Saudi Arabia play well here defensively, I mean, they could very easily get this thing down to 10 points.
Yeah. The key for them
might be interesting.
Yeah, the key for them is early in this quarter. If they can just put in a little bit more and bring it down to single digits, that will give them some hope.
Fahad Bilal, will it be his 3rd 3? Yes, it will in the second half. He's the man with the hot hand, Fahad Bilal. And it is down to a 13-point deficit. Key will be if Australia can get a good shot here. It'll be an open look. Will they be able to get it down low? McDowell-White, shot clock about to run out. Bounce pass to Maker. And good rebound by Bilal, pushing it over to Al-Marwani.
Much better defense than Saudi Arabia. And that's almost a frustrating thing. They can clearly play that high-level defense. And do they choose not to? If they can continue to play like they did in that last possession, they're going to get back into this game.
That is just, well, at least he gets after it on the ground. I was about to say, can't turn the ball over in that situation, but they do turn it over with the shot clock violation. I mean, they were sharing the basketball. Everything went well there. I think it was Froling. Was it Froling that reached in? Or no, it was Thonmaker, I think.
Yeah, it was Thonmaker, yeah.
I think what probably is better when Mohammed Al-Marwani is not on the court is there's maybe a little bit more movement, a little bit more space.
You don't like to say it,
Saudi.
but yeah, they have looked better without him on the floor. Even though he's been their leading scorer and is, you know, a good offensive threat for them, they've looked better without him on the floor.
Oh boy, McDowell-White, that was big time. That'll allay any lingering concerns, I think, for Australia fans.
And 6 of Australia's 12 players have now hit 3-pointers. And this, how do you guard that when you have so many threats coming your way?
Oh boy, nice rejection from Thonmaker. But also with Mohammed Al-Marwani, I mean, he hasn't looked the same player today that he did in the opening day. And I guess for the older guys, maybe it takes a little bit more time to recover.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice play on the inbounds pass and the spurned. The chance was there. Here's Froling. Look at him handle the basketball. Sam Froling. Smooth when he moves, indeed. Ridiculous.
Ninth steal of the game for Australia, and it really is the trademark of how they build their games.
Thonmaker. He's not going to miss down low. Good pass.
29 points off turnovers now for Australia. Almost half their points coming away from forcing mistakes from Saudi Arabia.
Shot was altered, Abdel-Jabbar by Dukas, and McDowell-White short. Oh boy, saw that a mile away, and here goes McDowell-White.
I'll be honest, I think I could have almost intercepted this from the commentary position. Yeah. That was telegraphed, to say the least.
Boy, Tamer Mohammed gets the assist for McDowell-White. And Australia go back on top 65-43.
مثنى خالد وفهد كنترول في معاك 2 بليميكرات يا مثنى هم اللي يطلعوا بقى. طب انت كنت معاك اديتها لتامر. طب يا تامر اداك ومفيش ضغط عليك عدي.
اوكي
عملنا ايوب لسه عامل تيرن اوفر. وادي تامر عامل تيرن اوفر، وقبليها كان في 3 تيرن اوفرز ورا بعض تاني، بعد ما كنا 13 تاني رجعنا 22. هو ده بس مشكلتنا. 5 على 5 الماتش ماشي ايكوال. 5 اوت على طول يا تامر، سكرين وبوب اوت لبعيد عشان تستلم، وروح العب دريبل هاند اوف مع مسنى. هنا يا تامر مش في نص الملعب، ايوب باك دور كات 2 مانز بلاي. تامر افتح هنا، تقدر تاخد الميديوم رينج لو عملوا تراب على مسنى، لو عملوا تراب عليك في الفايف اوت مسنى واخد الشوط.
Yeah, easy score off the steal. And Australia, they just try and read those passing lanes. That's 10 steals now. That matches up with what they got in the first game. So I think they're setting their stall out that their offense is going to be built from high-intensity defense. And ultimately, it's a good way. It's high percentage shots. If you're going to get out in the defensive passing lanes, you're going to get your hands in there, steal it away, and your shot percentage quickly goes up.
Good to hear those men down under following the broadcast today. Just got a message from a friend, Des Thurston, say, hey, don't forget Adam Caporn went to St. Mary's. Now the Brooklyn head coach in the Summer League. So definitely get their feast of basketball. I mean, it's a huge year in basketball in Australia when you consider the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup is there and everything that's going on in relation to that. The foul called. Will she or will she not make the team, Lauren Jackson?
So proper, the drama that is.
You know, this is an Australia team hosting it for the first time, the women, the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup since 1994. Now, what's going on over here? Coach has maintained his composure all day and just having a polite discussions. He's under control, so nothing wrong with that. Who have you got winning the Women's World Cup?
It's hard to bet against Australia on their own soil. That's what I'd say. I don't know. There's a gut feeling.
The USA is going to win, surely.
No, I want the Aussies to win. I want the Aussies to go in.
Yeah, but
I can't just go. I can't go just USA. That's too easy an answer.
You're right.
It's too easy an answer. I want there to be an upset.
Don't forget Japan.
Yeah, I want. Yeah.
They don't have to travel that far. So we got a technical foul that's been called. So clearly,
on Amawani for complaining. But yeah, clearly the Americans will go in as massive favourites and more than likely will come away with the title. But I would love to see a home court win,
France
right?
will be tough. Yeah, come on. Who wouldn't want to see the Opals win it?
A home court win would be good. But you're right, Japan as well. Go from strength to strength, coming off the back of their silver medal at the Olympics. It's certainly every year that goes past, every competition that we see, both men's and women's basketball, it becomes so much more competitive as the level around the world goes up.
Yeah, and also I think people obviously have to keep it in perspective. The achievement by the Australia women last year, getting to the quarterfinals after everything they went through in the build-up, was the way those players kept their focus is beyond me. That was a really difficult situation. So good luck to the Opals as they go into the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup. The drive, the miss, and McDowell White gets the block. And Australia looking up. McDowell White. Stepping back. McDowell White. McCarron gets it to McDowell White, and they're just playing keep away a little bit. Froling. You like the shot clock length at 24 seconds?
Yeah. I think it's right.
Think they'll ever shorten it?
I really hope not.
24 seems like it's good, doesn't it?
I played a little bit of 3-on-3 myself, just a couple of exhibition things, and 14 seconds is unbelievable. You don't stop.
Yeah,
it's a killer.
It's a lot more grueling than you realize.
Yeah, it really is, even though you're playing half court.
Abdul-Jabbar to travel.
I'm from the days of the 30-second shot clock. That's the days I'm from. I'm not a fan of it. I'm glad we're at 24, but yeah.
Well, I'm certainly from the college days of no shot clock.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of that. Imagine what the Saudi Arabian first quarter would have looked like if we'd had no shot clock.
pretty sure the Australian defense would have been able to force matters. Keanu Pinder back in the game. Quera drives in. Keanu Pinder gets it over to Wani Swaki. He's got a nice rotation. Quera with the rebound. Back to Pinder. This time strange finish for him. He hit the underside of the rim on that attempt. Not sure he knew he was actually that far. And the drive and the basket is good by Abdel Jabbar. 21-point deficit, 4 minutes remaining. And Dow White bounce pass, Keanu Pinder.
Impressive upper body strength from Pinder there, just staying with the play. Huge amount of contact. Still gave himself a good opportunity to try and score on this one. Some strength.
Plenty of options for Australia moving forward. That's down, looking down the road. Who's going to play, who's not going to play for the Boomers. We'll obviously see. I think we're going to see one more run, definitely from Patty Mills next year at the World Cup.
Yeah, I think he'll throw it down one more time when he'll go into
He'll
the
play in
tournament
France as well. He'll play in Paris if they qualify for the World Cup. Oh, sorry, the Olympics, which I would assume they would. Joe Ingles, he'll come back from the knee injury and play.
Slow-mo Joe, I think he'd be up for another run. He's got another tournament in the knees.
Absolutely sensational personalities, especially Joe Ingles. Many years in
phenomenal
in Spain, with Barcelona before that.
And just the way he deals with the criticism that he receives for the way he plays the game is just wonderful. I saw one tweet from him, someone sending him saying, oh, you're only going to get 5 minutes a game in your latest trade, and his reply was, well, that's 5 minutes more than you. It's just like, it's exactly the way to deal with criticism.
Shot clock violation, so turns it over. Saudi Arabia complaining.
Yeah, they're starting to get frustrated again like they did in the Indonesia game.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess they're a little bit narked about the technical foul. McDaniel missing.
I think there's more to it. When you look at, you know, it's tough. You've been put to the sword again, second game in a row now, where you've really struggled to play to your level, play to, you know, to the standard that you can play at. And that's been because the opposition have forced you to play a tough game. But I think it's more frustration with themselves just spilling out a little bit.
Abu Jabas, turnaround jumper from the corner. Fouled by Tyrese Proctor.
He's using the inner Nowitzki in him there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Channeling Dirk.
Dirk Nowitzki was courtside watching Luka Doncic play. Did you see that?
Yeah, chanting overrated. Yeah, I love that. Absolutely wonderful. They have a very good relationship, Dirk and Luka.
That was in the European qualifiers for the FIBA Basketball World Cup. Gilas makes the first. Well, you know what? You wouldn't think it would be possible for Saudi Arabia, but indeed, if things break their way with Indonesia and Jordan, and it's an all-or-nothing decider against Jordan, you don't know what kind of mood Jordan will be in coming into that game at 0-2.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what they need now. So for Saudi Arabia, you know, any Saudi Arabian fans, I'm sure they want Indonesia to beat Jordan later today. They don't want to get into a 3-team tie and have to go for points difference due to that result against Indonesia on game day 1. They would much rather just have a one-and-done game against Jordan on the last day of the group.
I think Al-Dwari is so good that he's going to neutralize the Marquez Bolden factor. That's my prediction. And I think
it's going to be a good game.
Bilal missing. Oh boy, Pinder had Aquera, but he just couldn't get him the ball in time. Here's Tyrese Proctor over to Wani Swaka. Proctor, oh boy, the jumper's looking good today for Tyrese Proctor.
Great to see as well for Australian basketball. 3 under-21s on the floor right now. And they're certainly not out of their depth. Truly shows the conveyor belt of talent that Australia have. It's not just a golden generation. You sometimes talk about that. Obviously, we've talked about the Spanish golden generation and other nations, but for Australia, it just seems to be they've got it right. Their development program works. It's bringing through generation after generation of world-class players.
الجيم ما يستاهلش انه يخلص 30 بونت، فانتوا قدامكم دقيقة تقدروا تخلصوا الجيم 20 21 22 وتقدروا في الدقيقة ونص دي الجيم يخلص 33 و34. We played almost very good. We can finish this game by 20, 21 points, and if we play loose in the last 1 minute and a half, it can be 30, 32, 33. And this is not good for us. We played very good, and we deserve at least to be in the level of 20 points. So keep fighting. في الاوفنس احنا هنشتغل دلوقتي. ايوب كايسر هنشتغل كويك مثنى لف انت وفاهم ايوب انت السكرين وشورت رول.
And I like that from Coach Al-Qadani.
Yep,
you know,
right.
Coaching to the end there, saying, guys, you know, we can set new targets. This should be a 20-point loss for us. It could be a 32-point loss. That's your decision now in this last minute and 20. And the sentence that really hammered home, it's not good for us. And he's absolutely right. To come out of the tough loss and the big loss against Indonesia, to go straight into the big loss against Australia, 30-plus points. How do they bring themselves back for what is the absolute must-win game? They lose against Jordan, that's it. End of the Asia Cup for them. They go home without a win.
Okay, so, you know, we were talking about Australia, and if they do make it to the FIBA Basketball World Cup, what the makeup their roster might be. And I think you're right. I mean, I think the point guard position probably is going to be... I think Proctor's got a great shot at making that team when you look at the situation right now, and especially as you know that you need to start getting these guys minutes, and the hope would be that he would actually be available.
Yeah,
I think he would make himself
available. The only concern I would have is that Proctor's going into that freshman year. He won't be coming off playing minutes. He won't necessarily be game ready unless he plays in some of the qualifiers.
No, he could play, I mean, he could play a lot of minutes at Duke as a freshman. They play, don't forget, they have that. I'm not saying he's going to be one and done, but that is.
They're happy with that model.
As a Carolina guy, I'm telling you, you know, we know it as one and done university. So they get the guys, the brotherhood,
and they're done.
They get in for a year and then they're gone. But no, not all of them, obviously, but they get elite players that come in, they play minutes. But Australia need they need to freshen up the roster clearly. Oh boy, Abu-Jabbar. Oh, what in the world was he thinking? And now he's laughing as he goes down the court. He has gotten everybody laughing on the Australia bench.
I love that.
Talking some trash.
Because he did it tongue-in-cheek. I think he was doing it as a bit of a light-hearted look, and the Australians love that. Mitch McCarron just creased up on that one.
Yeah, it wasn't like
aggressive
genuine.
or angry.
I think he's going to go shake hands. This will be funny. Watch. Okay, here he goes. Yeah, it was all done in good nature. So Australia win at 76-52 over Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia fooled us a little bit in that first quarter, I think. You know, having a three-point lead at the end of the first quarter, we entered the game thinking it's going to be relatively easy and straightforward for Australia in this game. Into 10 minutes, we thought, oh, maybe Saudi Arabia can actually be a bit of a challenge, but Australia just went through the gears in the second quarter and blew that one open. You see their shooting percentages, and for me, it's not even the shooting percentages. They're getting more shots on the back of having 10 steals. They're forcing turnovers. They're getting, you know, Australia having far more possessions. They win the rebounding battle, another 22 assists for 76 points. Maker leading them in the scoring with 16. Bilal leading Saudi Arabia with 16. But another great team performance from Australia that moves them to the 2-0 record that they need.
So Saudi Arabia back to the drawing board for them. They will head off to get back to the hotel, have some lunch, and try to get this out of their system. it's tough for a team like this to go up against a team that, you know, Australia just has elite talent in the Asian game, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, and in droves as well. It's not like you're just facing a tough starting 5, you're facing a tough 12. And it's always going to be a challenge for Saudi Arabia to compete against that. But like you say, it's back to the drawing board. They need to, and it's difficult to do it psychologically. And for Coach El Qadani, this is probably his biggest job. Get his guys to forget those 2 games. You know, forget the game against Indonesia, forget the game against Australia, and just hit the reset button and go fresh when they face Jordan. You know, Saturday's game against Jordan, his second game of the day on Saturday, is absolutely huge for them now. It's the must-win game. If they don't win that, they're going home.
And Jordan are not going to be able to pressure Saudi Arabia the way that Australia did.
No way near.
I think if anybody, you know, so Saudi Arabia, again, their athleticism gives them a chance.
Yep. I think Jordan clearly will go into that game as favourites against Saudi Arabia, but not huge 20-plus points favourites. I think Saudi Arabia have a chance to cause an upset. But it's down to Saudi Arabia, particularly for me on the defensive end. They showed, you know, that they have potential on the offensive end, but they were only showing the odd possession on the defensive end of putting the level of intensity in that they need to put in at this level to win the game.
I think it's fair to say, Mark, as well for Australia, they have not faced the best competition so far. So while we get excited and everybody else gets excited about how good they've looked, the reality is there are tougher games ahead. We have seen hard games between Korea and China. We saw a tough game between, very surprised by Kazakhstan, how competitive they were. Really surprised how they took on Japan, and then Japan just pulled away in the second half. Japan will be an interesting opponent for any team.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think New Zealand's going to be at the level. I don't think they don't have enough experience even for this youngish Australia team.
Yeah, I think the New Zealand team is a work in progress.
But plenty of other good. Lebanon's going to be really tough as well. So game day 3 underway, and as you look, game day 2 underway on day 3, and in Group A right now it's Australia up at the top at 2-1. 2-0, and Saudi Arabia now 0-2. Indonesia and Jordan also in the mix. They will play the late afternoon game, which obviously goes into the early evening. Tips off at 5:30 local time. So a lot of good basketball coming your way today. 1 down, 3 more to go. So Australia came in on the back of their big win over Jordan. Saudi Arabia threatened early on. They led at the end of the first quarter, but after that, it was all boomers.